Welcome to the TeamForge 7.2 What's New training video. In this video, we'll introduce the new features, functionality, and improvements included in the 7.2 release of CollabNet TeamForge. TeamForge 7.2 is a progression of CollabNet's commitment to scaling agile, to tool and process neutrality, and to easing the transition to enterprise-wide agile software development. This version further extends the open, social, and collaborative capabilities of the TeamForge platform for the enterprise. CollabNet TeamForge 7.2 includes many features and enhancements focused on customer-driven requests, integration and architecture improvements to make the user experience smoother and more robust, and to support the latest in related integrated applications. Customer-driven improvements include enhancements to agile features, including a new task board in the Tracker UI, usability and user experience improvements, and expanded reporting capabilities. Orchestrate 1.2 brings work item support, project breadcrumb navigation, work item associations, activity stream update notifications, the ability to set a default pipeline, and additional details in activity widgets. Also new in 7.2 is a stronger Git-Gerrit integration with enhanced platform support, new history rewrite resurrection functionality in the web UI, notification improvements, repository-level delete permissions, the ability to permanently delete Gerrit projects, TeamForge project scope dashboards, and advanced role-based access controls. Architecture improvements include platform upgrades with updates to newer versions in many third-party integrations and an optimized event and email delivery mechanism. With the introduction of the task board, you now have 3 ways to view your tracker artifacts and planning folders within the TeamForge tracker. List View, which gives you the familiar table of artifact values and retains all of its familiar capabilities and functionality. Plan View, which shows the artifacts in a planning folder hierarchy on the planning board. And the new task board view, which serves as a focal point for keeping the daily meeting focused on progress and obstacles. As a project administrator, TeamForge guides you through the configuration of the project task board, allowing you to identify the type of trackers used for backlog items and tasks, up to 7 swim lane columns showing status and progress, and the effort values to be included. This 3-step configuration allows you to tailor your task board to view the details that are important to your project's health. You may find that as your project progresses, you need to see different details. Simple. Just go through the 3-step configuration, supplying new values to update your task board view. Once the task board has been configured by the project administrator, each project member can select the planning folder to view. The task board is then populated with the backlog items and tasks aligned by status in the status swim lanes chosen during task board configuration. Note that the status swim lanes are displayed in the order in which the status values were selected during the configuration process. From the task board, you can create tasks for a backlog item using the plus sign on the backlog item card. The Create Task window will open, allowing you to add a task title and description. Once successfully submitted, the task will appear as an open task on the board. This simple method of adding tasks streamlines your tracking process and allows you to easily break down your backlog into implementable units. The beginning state for all newly created tasks is the status value of the first status value swim lane as configured by the project administrator. You can change a task's status by editing the task or by dragging it and dropping it across the status swim lanes. Using the new keywords function on multi-select filters, you can jump to values in the list by typing the first letter of the desired value and selecting from the narrowed list. To add more values, just type the first letter of those values in the keyword box and make additional selections. The planning board now has a Quick Edit button, which allows you to launch the Quick Edit window from within the planning folder. Quick Edit means you don't have to switch to the list view to update your artifacts and their details. Larger, more detailed descriptions can be accommodated by dragging the corner of the description text box to expand it in the planning board pop-up. The new CTF installer has been improved to provide an easier, more modern, and robust onboarding and upgrading experience. The post-install framework has been unified, and there are now close to 0 manual steps involved in the installation. Oracle is now part of the mainstream installation, and About Add-ons is now a core product page. The install documentation has been improved. The CATF installer repos are now RPM-based, and SCM integrations are now automatically integrated during the installation process. A project homepage's lifecycle metrics reports can now be printed or downloaded in various formats. Use the 3-line icon at the top right of the report to select your format. Use your download to create presentations for the team and management. TeamForge brings you 3 new lifecycle reports, the first of which is the Average Age Report, which displays the average age of artifacts of the tracker types you select and within any planning folders you select. You can identify the time unit as hours, days, or weeks, and choose whether or not to include weekends in that duration. Once created, your report can be displayed as a project homepage component, printed, or downloaded. The new Agile Report Iteration Cumulative Flow Diagram is designed to forecast and track progress within the scope that you define. You can also use the rolled-up states of your scheduled work to identify bottlenecks. Another new Agile report, the Velocity of Done Stories, provides information on the number of story points committed and completed within an iteration. It shows the total story points accepted by the product owner within the iteration and how many were moved to the next. When a folder is selected, the report shows the children. For example, select a release and its iterations will display. Or, in this example, the teams 1, 2, and 3 during a sprint. Lifecycle metrics reports are constantly being added. The out-of-the-box reports include the Agile burn down and up charts, the artifact distribution charts, artifact open and close charts, average age report, the iterative cumulative flow diagram, the status trend report, and the velocity of done stories report. Additional community-created reports can be found at ctf.open.collab.net. There, you'll see a description of each of the reports, including sample data in the specific reports format. You'll also find instructions on adding these reports to your repertoire of lifecycle metrics reports. In TeamForge 7.2, the expanded command line interface documentation provides instructions for creating and customizing your own reports and making them available as homepage content under the lifecycle metrics reports. You can find the documentation under the TeamForge CLI Reports Framework heading on help.collab.net. The burn-down chart in the Trackers tool now uses HiCharts, a flexible, widely known charting API which works well in all Internet browsers. And you can now choose between effort and points for your display, so you have the metrics you need to describe your project's progress. Orchestrate 1.2 now supports work item orchestration with packaged adapters for the CollabNet TeamForge Tracker and Atlassian's Jira. Adding a tracker source to a pipeline brings work item updates to the Orchestrate activity stream, providing broader lifecycle coverage and traceability. These new activities are indicated with an orange clipboard widget. Clicking Orchestrate's Projects link in the navigation breadcrumbs brings you to a list of the pipelines and tracker sources for each project you have access to. TeamForge trackers in each project are automatically made available for the tracker sources. Jira and other tracker sources can be added by clicking the Add Tracker Source button. Clicking the Add Tracker Source button brings up the Tracker Source screen where you can enter configuration data for the tracker source you'd like to add and see the trackers and corresponding status values available for that tracker source. Once a tracker source is added, individual trackers can be added to a pipeline. Click the Work Item step in the pipeline, then Add New Source. Each pipeline can be scoped so that only selected trackers and work item statuses appear in the stream. Once one or more trackers are added to a pipeline, work item updates show up in the pipeline activity stream. Note that you can add multiple trackers to a pipeline to see the complete set of relevant work item updates for your pipeline. Clicking a work item displays details and metadata about the work item. Click See Work Item to navigate directly to the work item in the source tracker. Referencing a TeamForge tracker or Jira Object ID in a commit message will automatically create an association between the work item and commit providing traceability and continuity. Work item associations are also cataloged. The traceability graph shows work items and how they relate to other activities in your life cycle. Always keep abreast of new activities with the notations on both the Activity Stream page and the Browser tab indicating the number of new updates. In TeamForge 7.2, a default pipeline is displayed when you click the Orchestrate button so that you never have to pick from a list again. By default, the default pipeline is the oldest pipeline. To change the default pipeline, just use the Mark as Default button on a pipeline homepage. This is a personal default for each project. Association and Traceability View widgets now disclose more relevant information. Commit widgets now show the commit message. Build widgets show summary test result stats, and Code Review widgets show the title information. The TeamForge platform now includes the latest in Git Gerrit upgrades, moving through 13-point releases and Gerrit 2.7, the 8.1.x series, with SUSE, CentOS, and RHEL support for Gerrit. And it's now easier for a project to use more than 100 Git repositories. Project Resurrect is now available to Git users and no longer limited to Gerrit or site administrators. Simply go to the History Rewrites under Projects, where rewrites and deletions are noted. You can hover over the commit ID if more detail is needed to ensure resurrection of the proper Gerrit project. You'll then use the Resurrect button to resurrect the deleted code. This feature is quite useful in auditing scenarios where traceability is key. There is now a notification plugin for Gerrit, which ensures you never miss an accidental Git history rewrite because you don't have access to the repository. Just create a TeamForge forum, which acts as a mailing list, add the interested stakeholders to it or let them monitor for themselves, and then tell Gerrit to post all Git push activities to that forum using the Gerrit notification option under the Projects List menu. You'll need to provide the name of the TeamForge forum and choose the events to send to that forum. In this screenshot of a Git push history protection notification, you'll notice the topic header in the breadcrumb and a summary of changes introduced with the event. Any subsequent commits are noted at the bottom of the notification. Again, this is an ideal way to keep the whole team abreast of these events without requiring them to have access to the repository. A new TeamForge Git integration provides more detailed user permissions for your source code tool, allowing view, commit, and delete permissions to be granted to roles on an individual Git repository basis. And project owners can now have repositories with different code review settings and determine a role's access to each separately. Previously, the delete permission could only be set on all Git repositories in a project, not on individual repositories. That meant if you wanted to establish a role that had the reviewer permissions for a Git repository that you defined as having an optional code review, then users with that role were automatically reviewers on all mandatory code review Git repositories. You had no ability to block them from having a role, specifically the reviewer role, for the mandatory repository, or you had to establish separate TeamForge projects to support both. Gerrit administrators can now permanently delete and recycle projects or repos in Gerrit. You may want to delete repositories and associated code reviews once they become obsolete and cause confusion among users by their continued existence. You may want to create a Git repository with the same name after deleting the original, recycling the project name. You may want to save disk space. The Delete button in the source code tool only allows you to do the first, remove the repository, so it no longer causes confusion. It does not allow for reuse or recycling of the name, nor does it save any disk space. The new Gerrit Delete Project plugin allows Gerrit administrators to delete Gerrit projects with all associated references such as reviews, access rights, cache references, and so forth in a safe way. You can download the Gerrit Delete Project plugin delete-project-1.1 jar at ctf.open.collab.net. Project Scope dashboards allow TeamForge 7.2 users to see Gerrit change requests across different repositories within the same TeamForge project in one dashboard. Use the Dashboard button in Gerrit to display 4 dashboards which group all changes to all Gerrit repositories of the parent TeamForge project. The available dashboards are All My Changes, All Changes Open, All Changes Merged, and All Changes Abandoned. You can get more detail about the project scope dashboards by visiting the URL listed here. The new advanced role-based access control features allow definition of custom Gerrit access rights which are inherited down to all Git repositories of the same TeamForge project. Project administrators can delegate access rights across all Git repositories in a project. Using the Access menu option in Gerrit, grant permissions to groups, and that permission will be applied to all Git repositories in the TeamForge project. For more detail, visit the URL shown here. With TeamForge 7.2, Subversion, the JDK, Tomcat, and Pentaho have been upgraded to newer versions providing the latest in security enhancements. Changes to the event and email delivery mechanism include improved role-based access control, faster email processing, and new send and monitoring options. BCC is now used in place of CC. Batch sends are available, and there is separate monitoring for events. Thank you for attending this CollabNet TeamForge 7.2 New Features and Enhancements training course. To explore additional learning opportunities for TeamForge, please visit the CollabNet training page.